Hello. Think I am. Think we're live. Hi, everybody. Welcome to today's live Q&A. So today, if you're a parent who says no once and then hears the same request over and over again, 10, 15, even 20 times, then today's live is for you. Maybe it is about screen time, maybe it's about snacks, about leaving the house, or transitioning from a preferred to a non-preferred activity. Somehow you end up in that full back and forth or negotiation. Your body feels tense, your voice goes sharp, and then you're thinking, why is this so hard, right? Why is this so hard to get you to do X or Y? Today, I'm going to show you how to stop those power struggles without giving in and without escalating, even if your child keeps pushing. So, today you'll walk away with a simple way to respond when your child keeps asking, the exact words that you can use right away, and kind of a mindset shift that will immediately lower that intensity at home. Get no judgment as always, no perfection, just actual strategies that you can implement in real life. I want to share a story with you before I get into any of the strategies about a client I worked with. He was about 11 or 12 years old at the time, and this kid had a habit of asking for the same thing over and over again after being told no. His mom would always tell me that she felt like her child was constantly pestering her. She couldn't get him to stop asking. Eventually, things would escalate into arguing, whining, slamming doors, the whole thing. She told me that she felt trapped into these conversations that sometimes lasted for hours, like 2, 3 hours at a time. She didn't know what to do. And she would say no, knowing what was coming next already. She would actually like brace herself for the impact of saying no and what that would cause. Every request to her felt like a negotiation. Everything was a negotiation, and she felt like her word didn't have any weight in her own home. By the end of the day, she was like so exhausted that a lot of the times she actually would give in, not because she wanted to, but because she just needed it to stop. And she used to tell me that she just didn't have the mental bandwidth to keep going. So she would just give in, just whatever you want, have it. Um, Now, here's what that mom was doing that really wasn't working for her. She was trying to explain everything to the child. She was trying to explain the why. Why was the answer no? She would over explain to her kid why things had to be the way they were, why he couldn't have unlimited screen time, why he needed to go to school, why it was important for his brain to develop. She explained and explained and explained over and over again. And during these negotiations, she just would go back and forth with those explanations. She also would say things like she would change the reasons as to why something was happening. What minute it was because you need to learn, another minute it was because you need to go to school, or because I said so, or because your brain needs this. That reason kept changing. And so she will lecture, she would threaten, she wouldn't, or she would threaten, like, I'm going to take this away, but then not actually take it away. And eventually, again, she would give in. So, what happened actually was that the more that she explained, the more that the child argued. The more that she talked, the more the child negotiated. The more that she did more of what she was doing, the more that he did engage in the behaviors that she didn't want to see in the first place. Now, after working with us, what she learned was something different. She learned how to stop engaging in that back and forth negotiation, how to stop being basically reeled in to that without really completely disconnecting from the child. Her biggest fear at the time was that if she stopped explaining, she would be unfair as a mom. She felt like a bad mom if she didn't give him a full explanation as to why she was doing what she was doing. But instead, what she learned was how to stay calm, how to hold a boundary, and still support his feelings. So she learned how to pick the battles, what battles to pick, when to hold the boundary, and when actually be flexible. And then she learned to take his child's opinion or input into consideration, but she also learned when not to. So in that case, the requests didn't necessarily disappear overnight, but what disappeared almost overnight was the hour-long battles of the back and forth negotiations, um, power struggles, all of that disappeared almost overnight. She started feeling less stressed. She felt more confident. She was yelling less. She was feeling less guilty. And there was finally more peace in her home. The most important part of this story is this, that what changed wasn't her child. We didn't do anything with the child. What changed was her response in the moment. And that is exactly what I'm going to go over with you today. So, this this tool is what I call calm reps. It stands for calm, anchor, limit, and move on. They are mental repetitions for parents, essentially training your nervous system to respond differently from what you're used to. It's so important to have tools to train yourself as a parent to respond differently, because just like with this mom, it's the same for everybody else. Your actions will teach your child more than your words ever will. If you continue to explain and explain, and that's your natural response, that is not going to give you the outcome that you are looking for. So, having these repetitions or these tools actually help you change your behavior. Okay, so we're going to go into it. Step one of the calm reps is calm, regulate yourself. Power struggles escalate when both nervous systems, both parties, meaning you and your child, are activated. And it's a 50-50 dynamic. You are playing that role in that cycle of that power struggle. So, the fastest way to actually lower the intensity and not engage in the power struggle is to slow your body down. So, something that you can do in that moment is take a slow, deep breath, drop your shoulders, like actually lower your voice, move slower, don't go as fast. Like when you're feeling this tension, that's what actually escalates your child even more and pulls you into that power struggle. So, first step, calm. Something that you can say to yourself is, I don't need to end this feeling. You don't need to feel like this needs to stop right away. You just need to actually give yourself a minute, a second to calm down. Step one, calm. Step two, anchor. Acknowledge without debating. So you want to acknowledge the feeling, but not reopen like any conversation in regards to the decision. So you can say things like, I hear that you want that really bad. I know that this is really frustrating for you. You're having a lot of fun. I know it's very hard to stop. You are actually still connecting with the child, not ignoring them. You're validating the feeling, and that's okay to do in that moment. It's very important to remember in this step, no explanations, no defending, no new reasons, no whys, no logical reasoning. Your child in that moment is not listening to anything that you are saying. They're only paying attention to what you are doing. So stay on course with only validating the feeling. Step three, limit. Hold the boundary once. So for this one, you want to state the boundary or state the limit one time, calmly and clearly, not repeating it. You can say things like, the answer is still no. I'm not changing my mind right now. You can either do X or Y, nothing else. That's it. No add ons, again, no explanations, no whys, nothing like that. And step four is move on, actually create space, physical, mental, and emotional. You disengage from the back and forth while staying emotionally available. This is probably the hardest step for parents because they fear that they are ignoring the child. And if they're ignoring the child, then they're not being responsive or they're not there for them or they're bad parents. That is not the case at all. You can actually create space and not engage in the back and forth and still be connected to your child and still not make them feel like you're ignoring them. What that looks like is that you actually tell them, I'm here when you're ready. I'm here when you feel better. I am here when whatever that may be. And then you keep doing what you're doing without showing any external emotion with your body. So you're not showing them that you're mad, that you're frustrated, you're not guilting them into anything. You just move on. You sit quietly, you start cooking, say nothing new, you look away, you pet the dog, drink some water, go to your room. Whatever normal looks like for you, that's what you want to show them and how you move on. Um, Again, this is the hardest part because silence is hard, and this is the moment that parents tend to overtalk. So sometimes it helps to occupy your body or your mind with something. Like I mentioned, whatever is normal for you, start cooking, take a sip of water, something like that. Something to keep in mind is very, very important is to know that they are not being bad on purpose. They're actually dysregulated. And you showing them that calm is actually teaching them to regulate themselves. It's also important to keep in mind that, again, the power struggle is a 50-50 dynamic. You are playing a role in that cycle of your child engaging in that behavior. So, what you need for your child to start behaving differently is for you to respond differently. So if you start changing your behavior, your child will likely start changing theirs. Now, I'll give you a couple of examples on how to implement this calm rep tool in your day to day. So, for example, you have a child who um, you're establishing a limit for screen time, and they say, well, but just 5 more minutes, okay? 5 more minutes. So the first one is calm. You're going to take a step back, take a deep breath. You're going to say, I hear you. It's hard to stop. That's anchor. Then you're going to state the limit. The answer is still no. You have to turn it off. And then you can say, you can either turn it off yourself or I can turn it off. And then you move on. Then you turn back to making dinner or walk away or take a sip of water. That's what that looks like. With that, I will open it up for questions. See what we got today. Why shouldn't I just shut it down immediately instead of letting them keep asking? I'm assuming that by shutting it down immediately, um, you mean like telling them like, no, this is not available. um if that is working for you, like if shutting them down immediately and just they will stop asking you, then by all means use the strategy that works. What I often see with parents is that it doesn't stop there. If kids keep asking, is because the boundary is not clear to them, one, and two, because it has gotten them the result in the past. So because they have learned that pushing and asking over and over again will eventually get them what they want, that's why the behavior continues. So if you have a strategy that actually works for you for your child to stop asking, then by all means. But if it continues to happen, then that's probably not working. If I don't win the power struggle, won't my child think they are in charge? This is a great question. I totally understand, and this is a concern that always comes up with every parent I talk to about winning the power struggle. This is not about winning or losing the power struggle. You only win as a parent if you don't engage in the power struggle. So if you're already in the power struggle, in a way, your child is already kind of quote unquote winning because you're teaching them that a power struggle is okay. So we're right now, we are not in. I want you guys to think about how to not engage in the power struggle in the first place. That's what is going to give you the win in the long term as a parent, and what is actually going to stop the behavior that you want to stop in the long term. So, in the moment, if you give in, or if your child gets what they want, but it's on your terms, they're not actually winning. You're actually teaching them that you have the ultimate say. I feel like every no turns into a full negotiation in my house. How do I stop that without sounding harsh? Good question. Again, I would recommend the calm rep framework that we just talked about. Calm yourself, anchor the feeling, so acknowledge the feeling. Say the limit once. This is what we're going to do, balloons. Say the limit once. This is what we're going to do. And then move on. That is the framework that I would recommend that you use when there is a negotiation. It's very important. That framework or those steps, that tool, the calm repetition tool, is meant to help you stop the back and forth. The idea is that you will not engage in that back and forth again. The power struggle happens because you are in it. It's a 50-50, 50% from your child, 50% from you. So what we can focus on is controlling the 50% that we are in control of, our responses. If you follow the calm steps, it will help you not engage in that back and forth. So that is how you stop it without sounding harsh. Balloons. Yeah, I don't know why this does that. Let's see. I feel guilty not giving my child a full explanation. How do I hold a boundary without feeling like I am being unfair? That is such a common question, and I love this. With this one, I want to go into something that I always talk to parents about. Parenting is not a black and white. Holding a boundary is not a black and white. It's gray area in its entirety. You, on one side, you want to be fair as a parent and you want to be understanding, intentional, listen to your child, take their opinion in consideration. On the other hand, you want them to be respectful. You want them to follow authority. You want them to listen when you need them to listen. And those are directly opposing forces. So sometimes you want one thing that directly opposes the other thing that you want. And we fall into the mistake of thinking that there is an easy either or. When it's not either or, it's and. So you can, when you are, the easiest way to not feel guilty about when you're not giving your child the full explanation is to reframe your thinking about the long term. If you continue to give your child an explanation, what you are teaching them is that they can engage in that negotiation and you're teaching them to not respect your boundary, something that we already established you don't want. That's the reframe that you want to have in your mind when that happens. Literally, when you're telling yourself, well, I feel guilty because of this, I feel bad because of why. Then tell yourself, well, is this teaching something that I want in the long term? Yes or no? And if it's yes, there is your reframe. You have to think about it differently. So know that if you are doing something today for the benefit of the long term of what you want, for the benefit of your child, that is you literally being fair, quite the opposite of what you are fearful of. And just as a general for all parents, again, remember you have opposing forces. So you have to decide in each moment which one are you going to trade in for short-term discomfort for long-term reward, essentially. Next one. What if my child just never accepts the answer and keeps pushing anyway? Super common. And I'll give you maybe something that will help you better think of it this way. So there's this thing called the vending machine effect. Whenever you go to a vending machine and you give it $1 and that dollar doesn't give you your chips, typically what we do is we push the buttons harder, we hit the machine, we try to move it even though it's so heavy and we can barely move it. And then maybe we'll put another dollar in and it still doesn't give us our chips. Eventually we will walk away, right? It's the same thing for your child. When you give him an answer and in the past something has worked for them, so basically them asking you over and over and over again has worked for them in the past, That's the equivalent of you going to the vending machine and putting $1 and getting a chips. In the past, that dollar has given you what you wanted, the chips. So your child is trying harder. He's pushing the buttons, he's hitting the machine, he's trying to shake it, he's putting $1 in. That's why they don't stop, because what has worked in the past is not working anymore. You're doing something different. So they're escalating their behavior. Eventually, though, if you outlast them, they will walk away. They will stop that behavior. It will stop working for them. The problem is that a lot of the times parents see this and they think, oh, it's not working, or their mental bandwidth is not there and they just can't do it, and they give in. And they give in at the peak of when their child is escalating, when their child is trying harder. So what we teach in that moment is that they need to do all of this extra stuff in order for their behavior to give them what they want. So to answer the question, that's just like context to understand how behavior works. To answer the question, your child never stopping and then keeps pushing anyway, they will eventually stop. You need to outlast them, and you need a plan for that. And the plan for that is the calm reps. Stay calm, anchor, limit it once, and move on. And you have to stay in it. Stay in it, doing it over and over and over again until eventually the child walks away. In the long term, if you have enough repetitions of that, they will eventually stop pushing. What is the biggest mistake you see moms make when it comes to avoiding power struggles? Number one mistake: over talking. Over talking, over explaining, thinking that their child will, for some reason, understand the mom's reasoning and then just do what they want. Like thinking that, well, they're smart. They understand what I'm saying. They understand that screens are not good for them and they should just give it to me. Like, that is the biggest mistake. Thinking that over explaining or that words will teach them more than your actions will. They will not. You have to act instead of talk to the child. And I think that's all I have for today. Yep, I think that's it. All right. Well, thank you, everybody. We'll see you next week.